Bon Kai. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with the first episode of Bleach, the 1,000-Year Blood War. And even though this is a continuation of the original Bleach series, we are calling it episode 1, just for sake of ease. Also, I think it's just typically universally referred to as such. So, for those who don't know, this is not like a sequel series in the way that like Naruto Shippuden is a sequel to the original Naruto. It is the same series. The 1,000-Year Blood War is an arc in Bleach. The reason why this is released separately, like a decade after the original Bleach ended, is because the original Bleach was canceled. It was canceled and it just stopped production before it was done. And I don't know if it was because the manga was not caught up enough at the time, or the anime was too caught up with the manga, rather, or if there were other issues with, like, viewership and all. But it never continued. And so, a decade later, they finally decided to continue it, to resume production and create the 1,000-Year Blood War arc, and basically just finish the story altogether. So, this is a follow-up to everything that has come before. It is fully canon within the same timeline as the original anime, but there are some changes, and those changes especially come down to voice actors. So, we're watching the dub, because I grew up with the dub of Bleach, and if I'm being completely honest, I've always preferred it. Like, I've heard the sub voice actors, they're good, but I prefer the dub, like, just strongly. To me, Johnny Young Bosch will always be Ichigo. Michelle Ruff will always be Rukia, and so on and so forth. But there are some changes that were made to this. There's a couple voice actors who had to be replaced. One of which is the voice actor for Kisuke Uehara. His voice actor sadly passed away. And so he would be replaced. I don't know who's actually voicing him in this version. But we also have Ikkaku Madarame, whose voice actor was the unfortunate Vic Mignogna. He has been replaced, and I don't know by who, because weirdly enough, I think Johnny Young Bosch is the one who's been replacing him in a lot of stuff, because didn't he replace him as Sabo in the dub for One Piece, and various things like that? So I don't know who's replaced him in this one. And then the third one is actually a controversy. Because what happened was, when this show was being cast and everything for the dub, Yoruichi Shihoin was given to a fairly newer voice actor rather than the original. Enrique Quinones, who has become a huge name in modern voice acting, took on the role. And this was a big deal, because you have an actual person of color playing Yoruichi. Unfortunately, the original voice actress, Wendy Malick, didn't like this. And I say unfortunately because it led to her basically starting a smear campaign and a hate campaign against Enrique. And it got to the point where, and I don't know all the details on how it happened behind the scenes, but Anna Reese, after a certain point, left the dub. She no longer would voice Yoruichi, and I believe Wendy Malick was in fact reinstated in the role. And this honestly pissed me off, and it still does. Because they cast a newer, big name voice actress who is a person of color to play, a character who's a person of color. Wendy Malick is white. Or Wendy Malick. That's the wrong name. I'm getting the wrong name, aren't I? Um, Hold on. Let me make sure I get the right names here. I've been saying Wendy Malick. Because Wendy Malick, isn't that like Ida from the Owl House? Wendy Lee. Sorry, I got the first name right. I knew something was off there. I got the first name right, but the last name I was wrong on. I apologize for that. But yeah, Wendy Lee is who I meant. Sorry about that. No hate on Wendy Malick. But yeah, Wendy Lee started this campaign against Anna Reese and basically was sicking her fans on her. And that's never okay. And it's unfortunate that the campaign worked. And, like, she justified it by saying, like, oh, she's the original voice actor. You brought all these original voice actors back. Why was she not contacted? Because they wanted to, give a more accurate, more, respectful piece of representation to the role. By having, a character who's a person of color played by a person of color, as should always be the case. And it's just it's sickening, and in a lot of ways almost made me not want to watch this. But we're watching this especially because like Anna Reese's voice is still in there for a bit, and I want to support her as Yoriichi. And I'm not going to like necessarily drop it after that, but it's like it's just a big stain on this series for sure. Specifically in regards to the dub, of course. It's not like the production of the series outside of that. Um, Now, you may remember that back before this had come out, I had announced on the channel that I was going to react to it, but then rescinded that after it came out. And it wasn't because of like the series itself, or at that time it definitely wasn't because of this controversy with Wendy Lee or anything like that. The reason why I rescinded it was just due to other things I had going on at the time, and I just didn't feel like I wanted to put forth like a lot of time into something like this, because I knew this would be a long running thing. Though I didn't know at the time it would be it would be cut up into different like separately released cores and all. But I didn't want to like dedicate myself to something super long running at the time. Plus, like, I had tried to go through the original series again to get myself caught up again. And I just kind of, like, because of how long it is, I just kind of, like, lost track. Because it's not like One Piece, which grips my attention at all points. It's Bleach and Naruto and other really long running stuff like that will often lose my attention a lot easier. One Piece is, like, very unique in that regard, where it's like most other shows of that length would just not be able to keep my attention. One Piece is special in that regard. It's one of the only ones that can. But yeah, I was going to react to it when this originally came out, like a couple years back. But I just at the time decided not to. So why am I reacting to it now? Well, as you notice, this is taking place of One Piece on our schedule. And the reason for that is because of One Piece going on this 6-month hiatus. Because of that entire situation, I needed something to replace this with, and I just felt like this would be a good time to finally get to this. With the caveat that you understand that I have seen this first episode before. This is the only episode I watched, because when I decided not to react to it, I'm like, oh, I'm going to watch it on my own time. I only watched the first episode. And I watched it like the instant it came out in the sub. And I think that's part of, I think after that, I decided, like, I'm going to wait for the dub. I'm not enjoying these voices. And then I just never got to any more of it. So it's like, it's been a couple years since I've seen this. I don't remember much of it. And I didn't watch it in the dub. So there's aspects of this that will be fresh for me still. Just to clarify for you. But I have technically seen it. I remember, like, the tiniest bits about it. But I'm not going to go into spoilers here if you haven't seen it and you're watching this now. I remember, like, tiny little details, but nothing, like, major, nothing, like, huge about it. But like I said, I grew up with Bleach, so even though it's not like I was never as into it as One Piece, I was definitely into it a lot more than Naruto. And I have a very big soft spot for this series, and it got me into a lot of other stuff, just like One Piece did. And yeah, I had fun with it. It sucks that the video games for this series, though, were, like, really lacking compared to the other two. Naruto has a shit ton of games. One Piece has a shit ton of games. And most of them for both of those are good. I don't care what anyone says. One Piece games are mostly good. Bleach has a few games here and there, but not as many by any means. And most of them are just kind of okay. Like, there was one I played on the Wii, I believe. Like the original Wii, that was fairly good, but nothing special. It's just, Bleach just never reached the popularity that the other two did, which kind of sucks to me. Because honestly, I think it's much better than Naruto, overall. I'm just excited to see these characters back. I'm excited to see, like, what happens with this arc and everything. And I'm definitely excited to see Yuhabaha, which I really hope they continue that pronunciation, because it's fucking hilarious to me based on the way it's spelled. It is not spelled like that at all, but it's like, it's kind of supposed to be like Yahweh, like the biblical name for God and everything, Yahweh. That's where it, like, comes from, and it's not spelled as it's pronounced. But that's how it's been pronounced in, like, previous, like, games and stuff. I really hope that the anime pronounces it that way too. And doesn't, like, try to pronounce it the way it's spelled, which would probably be something like Yowak. But yeah, I'm definitely interested to see how this goes and to see what this arc entails, because I don't really know. I haven't been spoiled to much of anything, and I don't really know exactly where it goes. I just know, like, again, a couple base details. But let's check it out. Let's see what we got. And hopefully we'll get some just really cool action, great animation, awesome character moments, and so much more. Lots of bankais as well, of course. So let us get this going. Cutting in here real quick to remind you of all the awesome content we have on the channel. Between Monday and Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions, with 2 on Wednesday. We also have movie reactions every Saturday and Sunday. I do pre-record them during the week, but upload them on the weekend. And don't forget all of the awesome gaming content we have on the Princess of Gaming channel. We have Baldur's Gate 3 every single day, Horizon Forbidden West every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. We have Beyond Two Souls on Wednesdays and Sundays, and on Saturdays we have Poppy Playtime. And don't forget to follow the link in the description below to today's reaction. I redirect all reactions just due to copyright, you know how it is. And on top of that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video for more awesome content such as this. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's get started on today's reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So yeah, there was a couple things there that I remembered from when I watched this a couple years ago in the sub. I remembered that the Quincy had come in and confronted Captain Yamamoto. I remembered that, like, pretty clearly. I remembered Orihime munching on the bread. In fact, I think I used that for my my promo thing here on the reaction videos. You know, where I showcase everything that's on the channel and all. I think that's what I used for that. On top of that, I remembered that this guy came in and did have the fight with Ichigo after they were, you know, resting from defeating the oh my god. They said it multiple times and my mind is blank. I hate when that happens. Every time. My mind is going to Arankar, and I know that's not right. But it's like, oh my god. Hollows. Hollows. Why did my mind forget Hollows? Oh my god. When you have a brain fart that just completely fucks over your entire mind. I remember, yeah, after they defeated the Hollows and everything, I do remember them fighting Hollows. I just didn't remember, like, specific details about it and everything that happened and all. But it's a good start. It's a good way to get us into this, and on the plus side, from here on out, I'm completely blind. Outside of any, like, information that I might have just heard over the years, like, oh, since the anime ended, people have talked about, like, this thing and that thing. There's a couple things that I know that I don't know if have been revealed in the anime yet. I genuinely do not know if they've been revealed in the anime, in the original, or if they're only revealed in the manga initially, and then they're revealed in Thousand Year Blood War. So I don't want to say anything, you know, about those couple things I know. One of them I have a feeling is probably not been said yet. The other one I think has been shown in the anime, but I'm not confident on it. So I'm gonna hold off. But yeah, this was a good start. It gets everyone back into it, showing, you know, Ichigo and them taking on some Hollows. You get to see all of the main crew's abilities. You get to see some of the other characters that we've grown to know and love. And it sets up what's to come with Yhwach and the Quincy. So I'm very curious as to exactly how this is going to go down, as to how and why the Quincy are back. And I can guess their goal. They want to take out the Soul Society, you know, for the fact that the Soul Society basically committed a genocide against them. I feel like they're kind of justified in that too. I don't remember everything from the original series, but that was kind of a big deal. That Uru at the time was thought to be the last Quincy, and that one of the big things was that the Quincy were unjustly wiped out by the Soul Society. It was like this kind of big mark, this big stain against what is, I mean, otherwise seemingly a pretty cool, interesting um, organization, I guess you could say. And yeah, it was done well in the past and everything, but I mean, it was still done. And it's still just entirely bad and entirely wrong. So I feel like we're going to definitely delve more into that and uh, be reminded of the specifics of that in this, considering what we're getting. Um, but I'm wondering, like, are these two young Soul Reapers going to be major characters? The ones that Ichigo and them saved from the Hollows? Are they going to be major characters, or just kind of like characters to set up, bringing in our main ones again? How long is it going to take to drip feed all the characters we already know and remember? Like, when are we going to get, for example, Yoriichi? When are we going to get Kisuke Uehara? When are we going to get Shunsui Kiraku? I always liked him. He was always one of my favorites. When are we going to get Toshiro? And Rangiku, for that matter? Like, there's so many characters that were introduced, and it's like, I want to see them all. We've already seen Yumichika and Ikaku, so there's a couple we've seen there. And yeah, I was wondering who was going to end up voicing Ikaku. Ends up being Todd Habercorn, which, all good with that. Todd's a great VA. I think he's a good choice to take over. I didn't recognize him at first. Of course, I didn't recognize, like, in the opening, the very opening of the episode, I didn't recognize Richard Epcar was Yuha there either. Though that is a really good choice. Richard Epcar is a phenomenal VA who has done great work as both villains and heroes. I mentioned, like, I knew him all the way back, like, from the original run for Digimon, where he was Myotismon, one of the best, if not the best, Digimon villain. And it's just like, that's just a really cool thing. And he's someone I've actually met too. Dude is fucking huge. He's like what, 6'5" or something? Like, dude is like massive. I met him at Youmacon one year though. He's really nice, really friendly. Um, but he's just like so huge. Maybe I'll share the picture on the Discord. But yeah, it's like he's a great choice for you, Habaha there. Um, Mind you, I don't know much about you, Habaha. I've just seen some stuff here and there. But just based off the design and everything, and just Richard Epcar just being that good, it's like just yeah, a great fit. And let me try to get some of these other voices down real quick, because I don't remember all of them off the top of my head, if I'm being completely honest here. I'm not always great with that. But yeah, you have Stephanie Shea back as Orihime. Always fantastic. Like, again, growing up, Orihime was my favorite. And she's still gotta be one of my favorites. I like characters like her, characters who are, super kind and nice and friendly and soft spoken, but at the same time can kick ass when they need to, but usually do so in a very different way than others. Like, Orihime uses a lot of medical abilities and whatnot. She's a healer, but she can also attack. She does have offensive capabilities too. And I like that. She's not like as strong as Ichigo or Chad or Uru, but she absolutely fills in a gap that's needed, nonetheless. Uru is Derek Stephen Prince, who I think is the original VA. Elaine Mesa is Chad. And, trying to see here. Neil Kaplan is Yamamoto. I think pretty much everyone is probably the same. There's not a huge amount of, like, characters in here that, we've seen. Yes, yeah, Richard Epcar is Yuhabaha. Yeah, I'm scrolling past characters I don't recognize or didn't see in this episode. And yeah, Todd Habercorn is Ikaku. Brian Baycock is Yumachika. I'm not 100% sure if he was the original voice, but I think probably. Ryunosuke was Alex Lee, by the way. So that's fun. And Shino Madarame was Amber Lee Connors. So got a couple more recognizable names there as these newer characters. At least I think newer. Characters I don't recognize, at least. But yeah. Like I said, a very good start. The animation was brilliant. It looked so good. That was definitely the biggest highlight of this. The music was fantastic, getting to hear the classic tunes and all. And the biggest mystery, though, like even outside of just like, okay, give us more info on Yuhabaha. The biggest mystery is what is this technology or whatever they're using to erase, I guess is probably the most accurate term, to erase Bankais. Because it seems like once a Soul Reaper activates their Bankai, the Quincy, at least the one we saw here, he pulled out his is some kind of like device thing, activated it, and it looked like it was going to seal away or steal or something his Bankai. Um, but Ichigo managed to break out of it, which was surprising and unexpected. Again, I'm sure we'll get the information, but I'm just really curious about that. So yeah, I'm very excited to be back with this. I'm very excited to actually get to reacting to this like I promised in the first place, and just never actually went along with. And I'm glad that we waited to do the dub. It actually took a little bit for me to find a copy of this because the site I normally use for most anime only had the sub, so I had to find another site that had the dub able to be downloaded. But I did find it, so we're Gucci. But yeah, tell me your thoughts down in the comments below. Did you watch the original when it came out? How much did this define your childhood? And what do you think of like the updates in animation and voice acting quality and stuff? Because remember, this came out like a decade after the original ended. So it's like all these voice actors will have improved on their craft since then. They're all going to just perform their roles better. It's going to be the best VA performances that we've seen from all of them. I mean, that's just expected at this point. But let me know your thoughts on all of that and more in the comments below. And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.